13 teams have been uncertain about who their manager will be since March. This is a huge number, despite it being a championship, where uncertainty over your manager is very common. The list of teams I have here is Bristol City, Charlton, Hull, Ipswich, Leicester, Borough, Norwich, QPR, Sheffield Wednesday, Southampton, Swansea, Watford and West Brom. Now, being a championship team, you know where you sit on the pecking order. Particularly in championship, there's a pecking order itself, a hierarchy of infrastructure, not necessarily how good your squad is. I'm a Bristol City fan, and Liam Manning took us to 6th. Norwich came 13th. You could say our squad is probably better than Norwich's. I mean, they do have two better players, but in Sainz and Sargent, but our squad is better, and he left. Mainly, I mean, family ties is a slight reason, but it's mainly because of the infrastructure they have there and all the resources and money they have. Now, if I start, I'd say this whole managerial merry-go-round, we're going to call it, started in March. So, obviously, Luke Williams was sacked from Swansea in January, but Alan Sheehan, I think his name was, took over. He's done a cracking job, to be fair. Took Swansea to second in the form table by the end of the season. And he wasn't a favourite for a job. There are lots of names being linked. Marty Cifuentes mainly. And Cifuentes ended up being linked to the West Brom job as well. And this actually led to him kind of falling out with the board at QPR. He's desperately pushing for a move. He's now on gardening leave. So that puts on... So first you can start with Swansea. Obviously they're all sorted now. They got Sheehan, who's done a very good job there. And I do think he will do a good job. But QPR, it leaves him in a very precarious position because Cifuentes was expecting a move. It hasn't materialised yet. I don't think it will materialise. Certainly not in England. I can't see him going to an English club. Particularly if you look at the two vacancies which are open now, I'm going to exclude Hull because they're pretty much set. But Middlesbrough and Bristol City, I think Bristol City is 16-1 and Middlesbrough is 33-1. So you wouldn't like his odds. And it means QPR are paying him. He's not doing anything. He doesn't really want to be there. They just can't... Yeah, they're not really looking to find a replacement right now either. It's just really... It's not a great position for Cifuentes or the hierarchy at QPR right now. And I can understand it's going to be very awkward. And talk about awkwardness, let's look at Danny Roll's situation at Sheffield Wednesday. He actually the other day brought in journalists from Germany to Hillsborough, the home of Sheffield Wednesday, to say he wants to move to the Bundesliga away. And that has been the case since about February, I can remember. Him just desperately pushing away from Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, there's the whole Chansiri drama. He isn't actually paying the staff, or the players, and it's just an absolute mess. And I do wish Sheffield Wednesday all the best. I really do hope either Chansiri screws his head on or they get a new manager. But it's, again, precarious. That role. Right now, he's being linked to the Leicester job, and I also saw a few Borough fans kind of wanting Steve Gibson to pay the compensation so they could get him. I really don't think that will happen, but I could definitely see Leicester. Obviously, he failed at Werder Bremen in his job interview as well there, so... Yeah, again, it's the compensation. Chansiri's demanding a full... I saw two fees. I saw £2 million, £5 million. So there's a big difference between them, but they're both expensive. I'm not sure which one it is. So, but yeah, it's very awkward, particularly for the players as well. If one, they're not getting paid, and two, their managers desperately trying to get away. Right, so that's the Sheffield Wednesday. And if you look at those Sheffield Wednesday and QPR situations, you go, who do they appoint? Because obviously now, if Roll does go, it's late. A lot of the good managers have gone. Fortunately, there are a host of good managers still left as free agents. But for Sheffield Wednesday and QPR, you want to be moving quick. You want to get your summer business done. I mean, understandably, I'm a Bristol City fan, and our summer business has definitely been halted by Liam Manning's departure. We're expecting an announcement on our manager next week. So, yeah, I'll talk about Bristol City later. Right, Charlton, So Nathan Jones is famously a Cardiff fan, and he was being heavily linked to that Cardiff job. Cardiff and Plymouth, by the way, are two clubs who are also kind of stirred up in this. I know they got relegated from the Championship this year, but they are two clubs who had backed themselves to be able to compete with Championship clubs for a manager. Particularly Plymouth, who has set up a whole new infrastructure. They're investing a lot. They've made lots of good, ambitious signings. They're looking to go straight back up. And obviously that whole Muslich posted a tweet saying he's staying, and then he goes. I mean, I can understand how betrayed Plymouth fans feel right now, but when Schalke come calling, you can't really say no, particularly when you're at Argyle, no disrespect. And then Cardiff as well, obviously the whole owner situation isn't great. I mean, Aaron Ramsey's now off to Mexico. He was a name being dubbed for the job. Obviously that isn't happening now. I saw Des Buckingham being linked. There's lots of names about it, and then Plymouth as well. It looks like Tom Cleverley. So it'll be interesting who knows to a point, but they are sides who will be competing with Championship clubs, trying to sniff around for managers. But Nathan Jones recently signed a 5-year contract at Charlton after Cardiff were desperately trying to get him. And that's interesting because 5 years. One, it shows Nathan Jones was probably itching to get to that Cardiff job if Charlton were willing to slap a 5-year contract. So as a manager, a 5-year contract you can't deny, because even if you do get sacked, you get all that compensation, and that could be Charlton's error. I mean, if it comes January and a rock bottom, no chance of survival, or a small chance of survival still, and they want to give it one proper push, sacking Nathan Jones might actually have to be the move, and then all of a sudden they have to pay a huge whack of compensation, probably on a slight wage boost as well. So it's an interesting move from them, but he is a good manager. He's done good jobs there and at Luton. We're not going to talk about that Southampton or Stoke role, but he is proven at underdogs. So hopefully he does well, because I do like Charlton as a side. So Hull unjustly sacked Ruben Selles, who I do think would be an ideal fit for that QPR job if that were to come up, depending on a Cifuentes situation. They look set to hire, I'm reading off here now, Sergej Jakarovic, some Croatian geese. It's at Kayaspor in Turkey. There's actually a clip going around of him getting stuff thrown at by the fans. Obviously, he is probably definitely leaving now, because that relationship with the fans is completely broken down, given he's engaged in talks with Hull and now looks set to go there. And it's your typical Hull appointment. I'm not a fan of it at all. He's not proven. I don't know why they sacked Sellers after such a good job he's done. It's like that Liam Mazzini sacking. It's just really confusing. Obviously, they got the appointment before Sellers wrong. I'd say Sellers did a good job. He is 14th in the league, technically, since he came in for points. But that Tim Volter. So I just listened to a podcast by David Wagner. That Tim Volter appointment was absolutely shocking. Right, Watford again. Sack managers for fun. The Watford fans were fuming when Tom Cleverley was sacked. I mean, but they're always angry now because Pozzo just loves to sack managers. They appointed Paul Pezzolano. Again, I don't know too much about him. I know he's managing in Serie B, Italian. That's about it. Like, I can't really say much about him because I just don't have a clue. And Tom Cleverley did a good job. It is a shame, really, how Watford and Hull are they've developed reputations just sacking managers, and because, I mean, it's not really fair on fans, to be honest. That's as far as I'm going to go on that. Now, Southampton, obviously, that post is always going to open up. Juric was sacked in, a couple games before the end of the season. And he's actually got the post at Atalanta, which does surprise me because that was a very, very big upgrade on Southampton. But they appointed Will Still, the football manager wonder kid. He comes over from Lens. He was previously at Rennes as well. So he's an exciting appointment. I like him. He's done good jobs where he's been. I mean, at Rennes, as soon as he left, they've actually gone down. And at Lens, he's done a good job. So he does excite me. Particularly at Southampton, it's a dream for a football manager player. It's a proper rebuild, a proper big club in the Championship, good players. I mean, he's going to have a lot of fun with that if he gets it right, and I think he will. I think that's a very good appointment. Now, Leicester are the other side coming down, along with Ipswich, I might talk about in a second, actually. So, Leicester, Van Nistelrooy's not actually sacked yet, but they're basically looking for replacements. They've basically gone, we don't want you, but we'll keep you if we can't find a replacement. Looks like Danny Rowell at the moment from Sheffield Wednesday, we touched upon earlier. But Russell Martin was the main name being linked. He's obviously now gone to Rangers. And yeah, it's a really confusing situation at Leicester as well. A lot of uncertainty. Obviously, there is a points deduction incoming. Whether that's 10 or 12 points, we're not too sure yet, but I'm pretty certain there is a points deduction. And it's very much a rebuild there. They've got to clear that wage bill. It's not sustainable, particularly in the position they are in now where it's kind of up and down, up and down. But they either need to complete reset or give it one proper push to actually survive and consolidate in the Premier League. But for me, I think you just need to push the reset button, appoint Roll, clear that wage bill, and just go again, because you've got all the infrastructure for it, and you've got some good young players coming through. Will Alves, I'm excited to see him, and Ben Nelson, who was on loan at Oxford the second half of the season. They do excite me. Right. West Brom. So West Brom was another job Marty Cifuentes was linked to. There are lots of managers linked there. They ended up settling on Ryan Mason, who's done decent jobs here. He's been interim at Spurs. He's very highly thought of as a coach at Spurs. Obviously taking a lot of the youth teams under 21s most recently, and yeah, it's a gamble. It is a gamble. I don't like gambles in a championship. I don't like risks. I think you just got to choose a manager. He's proven, and you know what he can do. I hate risk. I just think that is a risk. Whether I think it works out or not, we'll have to see. I think it could. To be honest, he's highly thought of, and I like that. I like that in a manager. A highly thought of, well regarded, well qualified manager. He's been at Spurs coaching now for years. He should have it nailed on, really. Or all the theory, but now it's actually, can he do it in the practical? Can he actually implement his ideas and inspire a team? Because West Brom actually didn't have the greatest season. They've really tailed off at the end, particularly under Mowbray, and they had good players. I mean, they brought in Adam Armstrong in January, and it showed proper ambition, and it just didn't work. So they're going to be really looking to properly push on again now, and they've been in the Premier League before. They want to get back up there. I mean, they will feel, as a fan base, as a hierarchy at the club, they're going to feel they are a Premier League club and they belong there. Whether us outsiders will agree, I mean, that is sceptical, but for their eyes, they want to get to the Premier League. They've chosen Ryan Mason to lead that. He's on a 3-year contract. That makes me doubt, but you know what? I'm open to it. They've chosen him. They know what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? They're experts, so. But I wouldn't say that Tony Mowbray appointment was ideal, but Carlos Corberán was a great appointment. Right. So now we're going to go on to Ipswich. So it looks like Thomas Frank will be going to Brentford. Will be leaving from Brentford to go to Tottenham after Ange got sacked. That is quite controversial in itself, but I won't touch upon that. Thomas Frank's actually said to Brentford he wants to go to Spurs. The main man being linked to that Brentford post now is Kieran McKenna, who's done a great job at Ipswich to get them to the Premier League. Obviously, that season in the Premier League wasn't great. Really quite poor. Spent a lot of money. Yeah, it just didn't work out at all. They only made £7 million profit on a player like Delap, which, as fans, they won't be too happy with. So it's interesting to see who they actually go in for. Maybe they'll go in for Danny Rowell, but yeah, they're a side who will look to be cracking on and retaining players because they got a Championship super team ready, but it's not a great situation for Ipswich if there is uncertainty, particularly of a manager like McKenna, he's very good. He is very good. I must say that. Right. So now we're going into the Norwich City. So they sacked Johannes Hoff-Thorup a couple of days after. 2 games before the end of the season. Jack Wilshere took temporary charge. They decided not to offer him the job. Instead, they appointed Liam Manning from Bristol City, paying a hefty compensation of about £2 million, I believe now. Obviously, that is if Kraus and Hogg follow him, which the compensation is still being negotiated for, but Manning is done and dusted, announced, which is a shame as a Bristol City fan, but he is replaceable. I mean, he's a good manager, but he's not. He's not the next Guardiola, right? So that that puts Bristol City in a position where they now need to get an appointment to be able to get that recruitment done nice and early and have a nice full pre-season with a new manager. But there are sorry, I can't speak. Two main names being linked to it right now. So you got Gerhard Struber, the former Barnsley manager, most recently at Cologne. He's done Red Bull New York, Red Bull Salzburg as well. He's an interesting prospect. I'm quite excited by him personally. And you got Rob Edwards, who seems just steady Eddie. Again, I think he'd fit us very well with that five at the back. But he's also now he's very heavily linked to that Borough job. So he's got the picker for clubs, Rob Edwards has. But Borough, Steve Cooper was the main man being linked there, but he's actually said he doesn't want it, which I find interesting, so I think that's the best job he could get. Really, his stock is completely... I don't think it was fair that he got sacked from Leicester, but that sacking just... His stock's gone now. So, yeah, those are the two clubs. Bristol City are definitely second in the pecking order behind Borough. Borough bigger, better resources, more well-equipped to go to the Premier League quicker. But, yeah, it's just... Edwards, I think, will end up at one of those jobs. But it depends. But if Borough choose to go for Edwards, Bristol City will end up with Struber, I reckon. And I think, but if Borough don't choose Edwards and they choose someone else, I very well do think that Rob Edwards will end up as the Bristol City manager. Right, that is just a nice little 17-minute roundup. I'm going to wait till it to get 17 of the championship. There we go. Round. Bye.